Hello, this is the International News of Lucia Arden. Thank you so much for taking this message. I appreciate your time. As we know, we see the emergency with America and Europe about the integration of the belief systems of completely different cultures that do not mix. And so there's war within the internal heart of the nation itself. As you know, Spinoza tells us that a nation's heart could never change the foundation, otherwise it is lost. So I wanted to say that I wanted to read something to you in regards to a beautiful arrangement that I saw that Fetterman and Kaylee talked about from Fox News about the recognition that we cannot have socialistic representatives in our nation of leaders and community or the government or states to lead our country because they have opposite ideas of what America and Europe represents. So I wanted to tell you a beautiful information that is so beautiful that we could never forget that we have this in our nations by nature, the nature of divine nature of the nation itself has been developed by these concepts of truth that you can't change. And Fetterman was talking about Bernie Sanders, how Bernie Sanders has to understand that we need to come to terms with not hiring any socialistic or communistic individuals because there's no more Democratic Party in America. It's Democratic elite communists. It's an Islamic regime that are extreme Muslim, unfortunately. It's Democratic elite communists. It's secret groups. And the Brotherhood, 100-year plan to take over, and it shows what they're doing in America and across the world to try to take us over. And they said that that's what they want to do. And Sharia law in the Quran does not mix with Europe and America. And anyways, the first Quran they burned. And it has some derogatory information, the Quran now, that doesn't meet up with facts. And it's opposite. And so is Sharia law. We cannot have one man marry many girls, 6 to 8 years old or whatever age, and the neighbor is a regular American with the traditions of one wife at a time and one husband at a time. The neighbors cannot be neighbors. The child will be in danger itself in the way they beat the children and beat the child. A wife might be a child and they beat them, and the child might make a mistake. Correct? Children make a mistake and they beat the women. They could lie under Sharia law. Correct? They could lie to the non-Muslim. There's many things. You know all these things now. So Bernie Sanders, my beautiful Jewish friend, because even though I'm not considered Jewish, I believe in the 12 tribes of Abraham, so I believe that I'm a Jew because of that. But also I studied the Jewish culture, so I know it well. I'm a special expert on Daniel 4. And so I wanted to tell you about the seriousness of what's happened to America, so bear with me. So Bernie Sanders is Jewish, correct? By heritage, his identity is culturally from secularly from Jewish rather than strictly religious. Born in Brooklyn, in Polish Jewish immigrant, and that's like Brooklyn, New York. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take over New York like it's a Gaza. So we need to take him out, Zoran, and put someone else in it. And I heard Trump's son should be the leader or wants to be the leader in New York. And so we need to take him out of Iran as fast as possible. And and then he Bernie Sanders is the leader that's supporting these so-called leaders that want to lead our country that don't fit. He's from Jewish culture, an American mother, and his views on human rights and social justice were profoundly shaped by the Holocaust. And so, as I said, that's what they're trying to do. I was careful with my words about the Holocaust. Sometimes I'm too zealful and I just go at it and I don't look at the words closely, but they're trying to make America a Holocaust, to take away our America dream and our Europe dream of a Judeo-Christian nation. We know, again, I'll repeat, Spinoza says, and he's famous like Elon Musk and Einstein, that you cannot change a country, otherwise it dies, the heart. You can't change the political ideology. So you can see Bernie Sanders, as we're talking to Bernie Sanders, the democratic people, America and Europe, is in danger of a Holocaust of her legacy, of her children, her people, her grandchildren. See, brother, see the truth. God wants you to return to the truth, because I saw what was so beautiful. Britain showed, saying that they had the heart of God. So did in America. We let all the immigrants in, but then they turn around and they bite us like a snake. Just exactly that analogy that President Trump used. And so we cannot support the Democratic Party anymore, because there's no more Democratic Party anymore. Bernie Sanders do not support the socialistic, unethical persons that want to be that done things against women, against the Democratic Party. That used to be the Democratic Party. There's no tenderness of the Democratic Party of RFK anymore. There's no such thing. It's the Islamic regime. It's the terrorist groups. It's the Brotherhood. It's the communist, Democratic communist. It's the secrecy of groups that want to take down Western civilization. So this is very serious. We need to come together with this. So let's continue. There is no more Democratic Party. We cannot have any of our communities, states, and government be representative leaders of Muslim Sharia law or socialistic views, as now it represents by Democratic. That's what it is. It's represent Democratic parties are now communists, they're socialists. We're not ran by socialists. We're not ran by communists. And I gave a definition in my paper, as I made a post there about the definitions of what all these things are, as we know, in secret groups, and what's happened to us. And communist itself, China's always has been after us. And it's relative. You know how China took down us from the drugs? 110,000 died of drugs. And I'll repeat this, in 2023, 2024, before President Trump got in, and then it's down 20%, because they were trying to do ethnic cleansing indirectly through the drugs. And this is what they're trying to do now by taking down America, trying to in EU, but they won't. Just like Rubio said, there's a war within our country. And that's what I try to tell them for years. There's a war within our country. There's a war, like North and South. There was a war because they don't want slavery. It's the same. It's relative. But now it's so severe because we have technology. We have geopolitical powers. We have the immigrants as a human shield. And we have the geopolitical powers that is so severe. We're war within, but also the geopolitical powers are coming within us also. That's why the borders should have never opened up. Remember, Obama is a representative of this group. Unfortunately, everyone loved Obama because I know many Democratic parties. loved Obama because I'm from that area, California, where there's a lot of African Americans or blacks, excuse me, and then they're so sad now that they realize that Obama is part of the Islamic regime and he sold our America, and he actually represented. Are you listening? To our enemies, he gave to our enemies instead of supporting our America, our military when he was in power. Plus, many women, thousands and thousands of women became in poverty at the time, and he's the one that built those cages. And we know that he did treason and many other things, and that his monies he took through the Obamacare and many things he's done that are, unfortunately, I swallow because it's terrible, of crimes. But he was the onset of destroying our nation and trying to make it Muslim. He is Muslim, and people don't say this now. Now listen, please. He is from another country, and he actually has a big fund there, a big trust from a very wealthy family. You should look it up, and you should read the book The Amateur, and it's about Obama and really truly where he came from and who he is. He doesn't even have really a birth certificate of America. So it's very serious that we need to come to truth with this. This Obama was a clear tool to change the Democratic Party into Islamic regime. Brotherhood, a pre-planned historic document in action to take down America and USA and Europe for the rest of America's present history and Europe. That's what they're trying to do. They have a 100-year plan. It's already 50 years for the Islamic regime. It's a document now. They see it, but now they're considered this document and the Brotherhood as a terrorist group, which is perfect. And that's why I try to keep on telling them when specialists have spoke about that, because our beautiful, what's her name, Bridget, I've mentioned her, and she's a specialist with that, and that I try to show how it's important that they're trying to take us over, but they're just part of the group that's trying to take us over, a unity of a group, because it's geopolitical powers that are come together to try to take us down. And Iran is part of that group, and there shouldn't be any nuclear warfare. You don't understand about nuclear. It's a very serious thing. Very serious. And I support President Trump and what he's doing, because nuclear warfare is very serious, and there's such a condensed part of people all in Europe in that area. We're actually, America, are farther away from the nuclear warfare. We're farther away that we're actually safer than all the people that we're trying to protect. And I am so ashamed of that world soccer, because I love sports and I know how it is. I've counseled many people in sports, and I believe in sports and hard work and success, but they were booing President Trump. They should be ashamed of themselves. Do you know how that our country, America, and I feel so bad about those two military men, gave their life for the world, and all those condensed people of Europe in that area where Iran is, where the Strait of Hormuz is, because I know about that. I had meetings with an Iranian diplomat, actually from a very wealthy family, that came to America because he left Iran because he didn't want to be in the army, and he taught me about that years ago in 2019-20. So I knew that was going to have to be a tool to protect us from nuclear warfare. They should be ashamed of himself. In Iran, they did the Holocaust to their people. Don't you understand? The Holocaust to their own people. More than 47,000 are dead. That's terrible. And 93,000 displaced, and thousands are wounded. You should be ashamed of yourself, world soccer people. You better get on your knees and ask for forgiveness. You don't know what's happening. You don't know the truth. Of course, we know social media and the news doesn't always tell the truth, but it's common sense now, right here. We cannot have nuclear warfare. You should be ashamed. And unfortunately, our Obama is our participant of opening the doors to nuclear warfare, because he supported Iran and he gave much money to Iran too. And he developed his actions by protecting the militaries that were our enemies. not our friends. Many things. And many things were stolen. And where is his cook? That's what I wanted to know, that was killed. Are you listening? There is no more Democratic Party. There's no more Democratic Party. Are you listening? There is no more Democratic Party. It is now represented by the Democratic Socialists, secret groups, globalists, Islamic regime, integration with ISIS and our enemies. This is a pre-planned effort for many years, as I told you, and it's about 50 years gone now, that they want to take over America. Can't you see, world soccer people, that you booed President Trump? You'd be ashamed of yourself. I beg you, you didn't know. It's just like the protesters that didn't know that they were protesting in our America about the Palestinians. Why did the Muslims, 56 countries and 11 of the richest, take the Palestinians out? Because they really want to kill them. Their own Hamas wants to kill their own people. Israel or anyone else has the right to protect himself. There was only a small amount of people, of Israelis, just maybe 1 to 100 or less, of one Israeli to 100 or 200 Palestinian people. And so all the Israelis left. And that's why there's more killings. But they should have been taken out. And I asked them to take them out. I asked the UN to take them out. Why would they keep those children, those people, in a war zone? When Netanyahu was fighting with Hamas and the other places, he was protecting the whole Europe and the world. That's what I believe. But now they see, I said that in the beginning. And why did Hamas keep on going? Because they're benefited by Iran. Iran has money. And Sullivan, under Biden, gave money to Iran, and that's how Iran got going to start getting the oil. It's very, very bad. We need to come together of truth. This is a pre-plan in China. Also, it was a 10-year plan to take us over too, but we're cleaning things up. And many see the truth now. That is why they voted in President Trump in 2020. And President Trump won in 2016. He won in 2020. He won in 2024. And we will win in 2026. Can you see the open borders? They let all the criminals in, of all these type of people, Islamic regime, ISIS, communists. Did you see the Chinese with the rolling suitcases? Did you see them? Come on, let's go. Did you see the Chinese with the rolling suitcases? They look like computer specialists. And all the blacks, they could have been Muslim, that are from South Africa, where Russia is making missiles, that they're making missiles there, and Iran is supposed to put nuclear powder on the tips of the missiles. That's what's supposed to be going on. And what do you think? Iran, why would they make, are you listening? Why would they make a whole missile city? Because they had a plan to try to take Western civilization over. Think, in Europe. And they have more things. That's why President Trump had to destroy recently. There was an attack, destroy the nuclear plant. Did you see that? This is today. Today is July the 20th. Arise, Democrats. See the truth. Arise, America. See the truth. Enter now the Republican Party. I saw your great Republicans on Fox. Kayleigh, I saw her and Fetterman talking about this, that we need to come together with truth and reconciliation. Democrats cannot be hired that are socialistic, that are Islamic regime, and unfortunately, because they're blackmailed. Do you know that Zoran Madami, whatever his name is, because really that's not him. God didn't create him to be a death killer to America. He hired an attorney that was represented to ISIS. And then he threatens Netanyahu and Putin to go in there to New York. That's their land too. That's terrible, even though I disagree with war. That needs to be taken back New York, otherwise it will become like a Gaza. And I said in my book, because I've written a book, but it hasn't been published yet, but it's been published on podcasts and writings because my information was taken. And so what I'm telling you now is that I prayed for Zoran, that maybe he'll have a enlightenment like Apostle Paul did on the road to Damascus, where he had enlightenment and he stopped persecuting Christians and stopped killing. Fetterman argues Democrats should stop allowing the DSA-backed candidates to run under party's banner while also taking aim at Michigan Senator candidate Abdul El-Sayed, calling him assembly a pro-Hamas candidate, a phony criticizing Senator Bernie Sanders for backing him. And this is true. He's running as a Democrat, so he's saying these people that say that they're Democratic, they should run under another form of political ideology because they're really not a true Democrat. Democrats have changed. There's no more Democratic Party. That's what I believe. So Fetterman's saying that this Sayed in Michigan should never run under the Democratic Party because he's not. He is a pro-Hamas. Today, the people and your children and your grandchildren cannot live so freely for the purpose of what it is to be American, likened to the past. Cannot you see? The people, the children, your grandchildren are in an environment that it requires different tools and even changes of what the environment is presently and how the environment is maintained. This is not a subject or object statement. This is not a subjective or objective statement. This is truth. Truth, facts that we cannot have any more Democratic leaders of this type or any more Democrat. I believe there's no more Democratic Party. They all need to come to Republican. And I noticed Mailer did in another gentleman recently, just since yesterday, since I put these pleadings and arguments out. When one enters a terrain of wild beast, and now that's what's within our country, is wild beasts are trying to take over our country. I'm trying to show you in an allegoric way, and analogies in allegoric way, so you might open your mind and listen, because allegory is used to bring truth. Okay? So these are wild beasts that are in a poisonous, it's a poisonous like snake pit that they put us in our own America. Just like our beautiful First Lady says, President Trump, and I just want the children to be able to walk down the street and be in safety. That's why every single country should have an ICE that has problems with this. Every single state, I noticed in New York, they're going to bring ICE in. And they brought it and cleaned up Washington, D.C. They need to clean every state and find all the crimes. That's what I asked. Safety first. Lisa Lucia and I asked in the beginning, years ago, safety first. When you have safety, you have success. You have truth. You have the open heart of what it means to be human. And then you could produce success when you have safety. But when you go in a snake pit, you have to bring ammunition. They do not wear bathing suits and surfing shorts and sun hats and beach walkers and lounge chairs and an umbrella and delicious ice chests with favorite drinks and enjoy God's ocean. No, we are in a snake pit today, and we need to realize that they open the borders. They're trying to take over our nation and saying that they want to take over it. And there needs to be new laws. When you go enter in a poisonous snake pit, of a jungle, you need to wear protective boots, correct? To the knee, and even special safari pants made they have now, and protective jacket and boots, and even guns, unfortunately. And that's why we need to have ISIS and protection of our country, of every state. And we have to find, for me, guns is like also a symbolism of this, to find the crimes. Find the crimes. Where are the crimes? And that's what we did. And we found many things in them. And I said to look at all the offices that America, because we would find them, because no one's been looking for the crimes in their country. Since it's geopolitical powers, globalization, and I told you the paradigms of power in many cartels, there's 9, but some of the cartels are just within their own nation, and they use it to control. But this is very serious. In China is one of the most severe cartels that used with Sinaloa and other cartels. And these are a handful of people that we could correct it. And they try to control the masses in globalization and World Health Control and World Economic Forum. And that's why we cannot have the 2030. This is very important. You know that what I'm talking about, poisonous snake pit. You know what I'm talking about, of crimes in our environments, our communities, our states, and our nation. Today, our people, our children, and our grandchildren are in a poisonous snake pit of crimes. Some of the snake pits are invisible, are transitory. You can't see them. They have movements even from one minute to the next. That's why we have to have new laws for computer systems. We have to correct all the offices, which President Trump did, and I asked him to. That was my main thing. I'm the first. I call myself the first presidential advisor, which before he came in, I asked him and listed all the things that had to be done. Hence, it's mandatory for the survival of the fetus, and different tools to protect the environment of the people, the children, your grandchildren. I saw on social media a lovely man in a plea, and how he was extremely outspoken. He was so shocked, he was shaken, but he was very calm and collective, but he was like very urgent. He says, look what's happening. Peter Thiel is going, and he's buying a $12 million home in Argentina. You know, Peter Thiel has done a lot for America and the world. He's developed beautiful businesses, and he wants to keep his businesses. He wants to keep America strong. That's why he supports J.D. Vance, one of the prospective presidential candidates, with Rubio, also a presidential candidate. And I'm right there with them. And I see all the time my ideas are right there used, because I told them there was a war within. We need to protect our country. And I'm the one that said, when J.D. Vance said, when he went over there to Europe, saying, you have to protect your nation. You have to step in there. And that's right. I asked that. And that's why I went in June 2025. I went to Europe. And before that, even the years before, to tell them to protect their nation, because I'm Italian. And that's my second country. But I've adopted all of Europe to support them. And that's why in June of 2025, that's when they woke up, UK. Because we cannot have UK taken over by Islamic regime or controls. It's right in the center of Europe. It'll be like Gaza, or used as a military tool. And even 10 to 30 years, they can say that we have nuclear and use that as a threat to take over all the surrounding areas. This is why I said we need to support each other. Same thing with America. We cannot have one state like Minnesota and other places that we got the Somalians out. And because I show how there's different states where are full with Muslims that are extremists, that show they pound on their chest. And really, when you execute that, whether it's a theological, sociological, psychological, English literature, when those men, those are beautiful men. They're created by God, even though they're not beautiful in the sense they want to try to take a country that's not theirs over. You know what this really means when they do their chest? Their heart hurts for their motherland. When they really hurt their chest like this, their heart hurts for their motherland. They have been rejected from their own motherland, these Muslims. And so they want to try to take our countries, Europe and America. So if you were to execute that as a psychologist, or English literature, or sociologically, or psychologically, or geopolitics, they are really, their heart hurts because they really need a land that is theirs, and the land that is theirs is the Muslim land of 56 nations. For these men that are striking their chest, and all these people sent over, 86% of all the immigrants are Muslim. It's very sad. And there's 11 countries that are the richest in the world. And there's many countries, these 56 countries that are Muslim, there's many, many, many commodities that haven't been excavated. So we can make new laws, because we haven't made any new laws for immigrants ever. Only very few since they started to immigrate. But that's when we didn't have geopolitical powers when they started to immigrate, but they had a plan also. And now they're using the plan of with their brotherhood to try to take us over, and the Sharia law and Quran to take over all non-Muslims and kill them if they don't become Muslim. But remember, the Quran was burned. The first Quran was burned. So I believe that there was things taken out and changed. And remember, our beautiful Muhammad, he is our brother. He's a human being. And by nature, men seek God. But by nature, men toe the ground and want land. By nature. And that's what really those Muslims strike in their chest, because their heart hurts, because they need a home. And their home is their Muslim countries. It's not Europe, and it's not America. There needs to be new laws. You need to bring them back to their nations, the ones that don't want to respect Europe and America's Judeo-Christian nation. Can't you see? This is very serious. And I have a written statement here, but I try to bring it in a natural way to you that this is very serious. This is serious. This is like if I am your sister. As believers and Christians and believers, and as actually even political analysts, and I call myself the politician for the people, I'm really your sister, your brother, your mother, your father. We're to be all those things to each other. We're like eating at a table of dinner right now. But you don't bring poison to the table. When you bring these people in and their ideas to take down our country, that's like the poisonous Nile River that God gave to the Pharaoh when he wouldn't let the people go. So we need to let the people go. We need to protect our nations out of slavery and stop having these afflictions, these diseases across our nations. We saw what they did to those 250,000 children. That's a lot. And 95% were Pakistanis. And our beautiful Dubai and Saudi Arabia, correct? They brought the Pakistanis back because they didn't fit in. I believe that the billionaires, just like Peter Thiel has supported J.D. Vance, we need to get billionaires on each state that support the community and the states to support politicians that are conservative to save their countries. And that's the same thing with England and all of Europe, Italy, France. And I saw our beautiful Macron, I love so much. I love France. My children, they studied that as a second language, and I helped them study it, but I used to be a gourmet cook in French cooking, and I love the French culture, but I love the Irish culture, I love the Scottish, I love the Belgium, I love Australia, all those countries. Those are all my countries I've adopted. In Italy, I'm Italian American. It's very, very serious. This is geopolitical wars. We don't have the Democratic Party anymore. Things have changed. We have to make new laws because there's new crimes. And when you look at the new covenant and the old covenant, because the new covenant and old covenant means Judeo-Christian nation. The old is Judeo and Christian is the new. Okay, they're come together, and that's what our countries are built on. And when you look at what that represents, it really has 3 points. It's called love, righteousness, and law. Okay, that's required. And love is to love God with all your heart and soul, the first commandment, because this is a spiritual war. This, and I'm not talking spiritually incorrect. Just like Rubio said, these are old clerics that are trying to control Iran. So we have to step in there and show the truth of what God really wants for our nation. But so going back to 3 things that we need to consider for the old and new covenant of these countries of Europe and America, there's 3 points. It's love, righteousness, and law. And love runs under the first commandment of love God with all your heart and soul, and lean not into your own understanding, and acknowledge him with all your ways, and he will give you truth. He will give you salvation. And to love your neighbor as yourself. And that's what President Trump and America is trying to protect Iran area. And actually Iran people themselves. We really want a leader that gives the Iranian people freedom, like when there was the king there. See, if you allow the Democratic Party and these parties to come in, like the pro-Hamas man Sayed that wants to come into Minnesota, that Fetterman talks about, that Bernie Sanders should not support, that we could come like a Gaza in that one state and be in very big in trepidation, and they would use that as a border of hell for Gaza, and even bring nuclear warfare in there. Just like Zoran is trying to show that he's trying to make that a closed position of communism, of an elite democratic Islamic regime, right there, supporting Iran. He wouldn't have, he wouldn't have a home. He wouldn't even have his head if it wasn't for Netanyahu protecting the whole of the world through Hamas, because Iran could have got nuclear warfare if we didn't come in and work with Netanyahu to block Iran, and Netanyahu also working to block Iran and Hamas and to help and save that area of Europe and America. And is it true that what's his name, Zoran Madami, that he is the son of Epstein? Is it true that he's the son or representative of a person that is part of the Islamic regime? These are all important things that we need to consider. So it is time to come together in truth and reconciliation, and realize that we have a war within, and how it's not too late to correct it. We have to make new laws. We cannot be enslaved by these people and their ideas of keeping us in fear. We have to make new laws. We can't have Sharia law. We can't have Muslim schools. I believe we cannot have Muslim schools because they teach the children to kill non-Muslims at 7th grade. And they teach them all violent things. I believe that all Muslim schools should be obsolete out of Europe and America. That's what I believe. They need to go back to their country, because it's not like a French school or Italian school or Jewish school. They don't teach violence to kill people. And remember, Muhammad, and I didn't say that statement, Muhammad, when he was writing the second Quran, because the first one was burned, he was in duress because he was rejected by the Jews and rejected by the Christians, and he even persecuted them and killed them even. And when Islam was in power, there was a lot of violence against the Christians and the Jews, because they didn't accept their word, which is a political ideology. It's not a religion per se. It's a political ideology of militant ideas of control, dominion of control. dominion of control of the world. That's what the Brotherhood wants to do. And so we need to come to truth in the secret groups. We need to understand there's secret groups. And we need to ask God to protect us and give us strength and power. But in God's love, in God's purpose, when we turn from our wicked ways, it's 2 Chronicles 7:14, when we turn from our wicked ways, God will heal our land and save us. He accommodates to his people, and that's what's happened with America. America will be saved, and Europe will be saved. There's always going to be a Europe. But if you do not protect your Europe and make new laws, you'll have bloodshed the rest of the time until the time of the second coming. I believe in the second coming. So this is very serious. We need to get this done right away. This is Lucia Arden. God bless you. Please look me up, LuciaLuciaArden.com. And you can participate by donating. And also I speak and I sing. And I have many books you could purchase on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Our Need to Give to the World is one of my first books that show, the issues, what was happening way in the past in 2011 is happening today. And we need to come together in terms with all these urgencies. And my new books are coming. And I just had 2 other new books in 2025. In God's Power, America Save Our Legacy. In God First, Our Miracle. And also a children's book, Jesus Christ, Salvation for All. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.